He gets up and asks her to guide him to the training grounds. Nina is kind of surprised, but she still does so. Outside of the main building, two main family children talk about Eugene and how he's from a small country town and probably trains with rakes instead of swords. The boy says that his carriage must stink because of how he lives, and even if he's a relative, he still would have to pay for damaging the main family residence, right? The girl says that he's absolutely correct, so they must go and scold him. The boy says that they are just giving him a warning and demands that the girl, Seal, follow him. Another main family kid looks out of the window at them, but that's when Seal notices and glares at him with the eyes of a beast, causing him to back away. Eugene begins training with a spear, and while doing so, notes that he was in no way lazy in his past life as Hamel when it came to training. But this new body has been furiously trained since he reincarnated, and no matter how much he pushes his body, he hasn't gotten sick once, and his injuries heal extremely quickly. This body of Vermouth's descendant is capable of stuff he would only dream of. Nina looks at him training and is mesmerized. To think he would be capable of moving this fast with sandbags on his arms and spear. That's when she hears someone ask what this guy is doing, and she recognizes these as the siblings Cayenne and Seal, also asking what they are doing here. Cayenne repeats his question, "What is that guy doing there?" Eugene stops his training and says that it's very clear what he's doing, practicing the spear. He also calls him an idiot, and Seal pushes her brother to do something, as that country kid just called him, a main family member, an idiot. Cayenne gets angry and demands an apology. Eugene instantly apologizes, leaving him quite silent. He says that it wasn't sincere at all. He needs to bow down with sincerity, then apologize. Eugene says that they must be the same age, so why should he bow down if they are friends? Cayenne asks, who would dare consider them friends? And even if they are both Lionhearts, they are not equals. Seal reminds him about the carriage, and Cayenne begins berating him and demands he clean the carriage he came with, as it probably stinks from all the farm animals he must have taken care of. Eugene just looks at this excuse of an insult and asks Nina if she's his personal servant. She confirms this and says that she should clean the carriage instead of him. Nina doesn't know what to do, and Cayenne notes that he told him to clean it specifically. So how dare he order a servant to do it? Is he really disrespecting the order of Cayenne Lionheart? Eugene introduces himself, and Seal does so as well. Cayenne says that there's no point in being nice to trash like him, and since he ignored a direct order, he has dishonored him, so a duel must take place. Eugene smirks and says that he should not throw that word around so easily, as it bears a heavy burden. He just wants to continue training, so why can't they leave? Cayenne asks if he's scared, and that's when his expression changes. He really must be scared, right? So in that case, he should bow his head and apologize for what he's done. Eugene says that he's in no way scared, and also doesn't want to duel or apologize. Cayenne says that he doesn't want to do anything, so is he just going to run away? His parents probably didn't teach him what honor truly is. That's when Eugene begins dropping his arm weights, and Cayenne asks what he's doing. Eugene notes that he wanted a duel, and that's what he will get, so he should throw the damn handkerchief already. Eugene continues to strip, and it seems that even the vest he was wearing was also heavy. Cayenne can only look at how many weights this guy had, thinking that they were only for show up until now. But now he can't back down, as he's the one who challenged him to a duel, so Seal will make fun of him for the rest of eternity if he were to back down. And he also must punish him for tainting his honor. He throws the handkerchief in his direction and demands that the duel commence. Eugene finally takes off the final weight, and when the handkerchief falls to his face, he accepts. In that very second, Eugene strikes Cayenne instantly in the gut, ending the fight in just one blow. Seal rushes to the side of her brother but backs away when she sees how much he's vomiting. She turns her attention to Eugene and says that he's a coward, and that was in no way an honorable duel. Eugene says that there was no cowardice there, as the duel started when the handkerchief was thrown, so it's his fault for letting his guard down. Seal can't deny this, and instead says that he must have trained in mana, right? Eugene notes that the branch lines aren't allowed to train with mana until after the success ritual. Seal doesn't believe it and calls him a liar, as there is no way he's able to swing something so heavy without mana. And also, the attack that he performed was too fast. to the point where even if Kyan were to be on full guard, he couldn't have been able to do anything. Eugene smirks and says that his eyes aren't just for show after all. She notes that his mouth is quite foul, and he says that he has already heard that one plenty. But it's also not like her brother got beaten without putting up a fight, as when his attack reached him, he instinctively dodged backwards to reduce the damage. That's nothing short of amazing, given that he doesn't have any real experience just yet. Eugene notes that this guy has potential, but is not strong enough to be considered a descendant of Vermouth. Kyan gets up, and with heavy breath, calls Eugene a coward, who says that they really are siblings, considering they say the exact same things. He makes his way towards him, and notes that if he's an honor-bound descendant of the Lionheart family, he should humbly admit defeat after losing. Kyan becomes embarrassed, and Eugene thinks that he should have held back a little. As this is the child of a patriarch, won't they do something to punish him? That's when a man rushes to see what's going on with a stern face. Eugene notices the lack of a lion on his chest, so he's probably just a knight hired by the family and pretty skilled at that. Kyan calls him by his name, Hezar, and rushes to his side, noting that he lost to a country person like that guy. He challenged him to a fair duel, and lost. Hezar looks at Eugene, and introduces himself as the one in charge of instructing Kyan. Eugene also introduces himself and says that he's from Gidol. Hezar notes that is where Jahart's family is, and Eugene confirms that man is his father. Hezar demands to know what happened here, and Eugene says that Kyan simply picked a fight with him and also insulted his father. Kyan denies this, but Eugene says that he told him that he was not taught honor by his father, and also called him a coward. All of these insults to him, and also to his father. Weren't they enough reasons to accept the duel? Hezar thinks that all of these are valid reasons and takes Kyan away, noting that they should get his injuries treated as soon as possible. While leaving, Seal waves him goodbye, and he does the same. A few days pass, and while having a very big meal, Nina offers him the information that he requested. Deacon, Hansen, and Jules are planned to arrive tomorrow at noon, while Gargus and Desira are planning on coming that evening through a warp gate. Eugene thinks that they're coming faster than expected, and the succession ritual will commence soon. He walks out of the dining hall and apologizes to Vermouth as he's going to be messing with his descendants from now on, so he hopes he won't be upset about it. But it's not like he wanted to become one of his descendants. It's just a damn reincarnation after all. Kyan gets interrogated by his mother, the second wife of the main family, Annasilla, and asks if her son really lost against someone from a branch family. Hezar confirms it, and she demands Kyan come next to her. She strikes him with the fan in the same place he got hit and asks if he really lost in a single strike. Kyan says that she's hurting him, and she demands that he stop complaining, as well as an answer from Hezar. Did that kid really not train with mana? He confirms this and says that Eugene doesn't possess an ounce of mana in his body. She asks Seal how her brother lost, and she explains that just as the duel started, Eugene hit him with the spear, and Kyan tried to retreat, but it was too late. The mother laments the duel being lost in a single blow, and Kyan tries to tell her something, but that's when she slaps him with all of her might and screams, demanding to know how he lost a duel in front of those lowly beasts, and to a child that lacks mana. Soon his father will be back for the ritual. So how's she going to face him then, huh? Kyan begins shaking and apologizes. The mother says that she would like nothing more than to cut Hezar's head off, but her husband favors him. He must train Kyan once more so that he may never disgrace her like this again. With that, they leave, and Hezar seems to be more of a parent to Kyan than his mother ever will be. She eventually calms down and asks Seal to befriend Eugene, or whatever his name was. Seal asks why, and her mother explains that right now, he's strong enough to win against her brother, so that's why. She thinks that if it were her way, she would kill that little cheat, but then she would become the first suspect. And if a feud were ever to break out within the family, the guardians of the familial law would come, and she must avoid that at all costs. The mother says that she just needs to become friends with him, and Seal says that she will do it, as she also has an interest in him, so she will befriend him. Her mother smiles, an evil expression running across her face. The next day, 3 boys from the branch families arrived at the family residence: Hansen, Decan, and Jules. While Eugene is training, Nina comes up to him with his clothes and notes that everyone has arrived. Eugene says that he thought they would have come at night, but they are here earlier than expected. Nina notes that the patriarch has also arrived, and he must quickly go. But he also needs to change his clothes. Eugene notes that he would be late if he were to do that, so he will just go meet him like this. They all wait at the front gate for the patriarch, and Eugene looks around. He spots the second wife, Annarasumanara, and the person in front of her is the first wife, Theonis. And that depressed-looking guy is the main family's eldest son and first in line for success, Iode Lionheart. The patriarch finally arrives, Gillard Lionheart, along with the younger brother, Keon. Gillard immediately goes to Iode and asks if his skills have improved. Iode tries to avoid eye contact and says that he's trying his best, as usual. This doesn't please Gillard, and he moves on to Cayenne and Seal, noting how much they have grown since he was gone. He also congratulates one of his brothers, Guilford, for having a son, and apologizes for not being there to see such a blessing. Guilford says that there's no need for such things, and Gillard moves his attention to the children of the branch families. He notes that they should have a meal together, and there they will discuss the blood succession ritual. They sit at the dining table, and Eugene spots the other two people who arrived, Gargus and Desira. He thinks that these were the people who came through the warp with the patriarch to attend the ritual. So are they perhaps of higher prestige in the Lionheart branch families? He also notices a man who is clearly not a Lionheart and thinks that only the patriarch and the ritual attendees are supposed to come to this meal. Seal also looks at him curiously and asks her father who that person is. He says that he was planning on introducing him at a later date, but they should do it now. The person gets up and introduces himself as Ian from the Red Magic Tower in Aeroth. Everyone is surprised, and Iode notes that he's the master of the Magic Tower, causing Eugene to spit out his drink. They all look at him, and Rebarian asks if he's fine, to which he replies yes. Eugene thinks that if he's the Red Magic Tower master, he's Senya's direct disciple, or rather the disciple of Senya's disciple's disciple. 300 years ago, Senya attained the position of Green Magic Tower Master at the youngest age in Aroth's history. Not only had she improved all the spellbooks in Aroth, but she had also helped countless disciples of other magic towers, and even provided advice to the other Tower Masters. To this very day, the Green Magic Tower Master and Robarians still consider her their great master. But the most surprising thing is that he would meet someone related to his old companion so early. Gillard begins talking to Eugene, and notes that he heard about him from Theonis, and that his son dishonored him and his parents. Cayenne looks down in shame, and Eugene says that he did, but holds no real grudge against him. Gillard asks if it's because he won the duel, and Eugene notes that it would have been if he were to lose, because if he were unable to protect his honor, then it is his duty to at least accept this as fact. Gillard smiles and notes that he's better than his son. He starts speaking with Cayenne and notes that he's not ashamed of his defeat, but it does shame him that he's embarrassed by losing, and how much he worries about how he's going to feel about it. It was a duel that started because of his insults in the first place, but he still hasn't apologized, even after losing. Cayenne tries to say something, but Gillard interrupts him and says that he is a Lionheart, first and foremost, and that the Great Vermouth is his ancestor. If he really is someone from his bloodline, he should act like it and respect not only his own honor but also the honor of others. Cayenne looks at him, and with a blush on his face, apologizes. Eugene notices how much he's forcing himself right now, but it doesn't really matter. Gillard says that his father must be Jahard, and he apologizes, as he doesn't know him directly. Eugene says that it's only natural that he doesn't, as his family lives in a very rural area for someone like him to know about them. Gillard asks if his father taught him those moves, and he instructed him on the basics, but after that, he trained on his own. Desire is surprised he trained by himself, and Gargus is even more surprised that he managed to beat Cayenne now. Gillard notes that this succession ritual will be an interesting one this time, and the food comes. After it is plated and served, Gillard says that the food might not be up to their expectations, but they must be hungry, so they should start eating. After the meal, Gillard notes that the reason he decided to hold this meal was because he wanted to share some details about the upcoming ritual. They all eagerly wait for him to talk, and he says that although he's the patriarch, and it's quite embarrassing to admit it, the blood succession ritual is just too discriminatory. Naturally, it is a tradition of the main family, and children of branch families are not allowed to train with real weapons or mana until after the ritual is over. If the ritual occurred under these unfair conditions, there would be no way a child from a branch family would beat a child from the main family. In this case, 3 of his children will be entering. However, he believes that it's fair that he not only check on his own children but also the potential of all the children who hold the Lionheart name. The ritual exists to prove to oneself that one is a descendant of the Great Vermouth, so it doesn't matter if that person is from the main family or otherwise. Eugene smirks and notes that this descendant is much kinder than Vermouth himself. Gillard notes that, because of all of this, he asked for help with this ritual, and that's why Roberian is here. He gets up, and with a flick of his fingers, the table transforms into a map of a labyrinth. He says that the ritual will take place in here, and everyone will enter from a different entrance, and all they have to do is defeat the boss monster in the middle of said labyrinth. They will also have to avoid traps and defeat any monsters they come across. Naturally, everything that occurs inside of it is just an illusion made with magic, so it's basically just a big mind trick. But they shouldn't falter, as it will feel just like reality. Eugene thinks that he's not only summoning magic, but also using advanced illusionary magic. No wonder he's earned the position of Tower Master. Robertian continues and says that if one of them manages to defeat the boss monster, the ritual will come to a close, and everyone will be assigned a point value based on how well they did. One of them asks if it's fine if they are unable to escape the labyrinth, and he confirms this. And if they are too scared, they can just stay at the entrance of the labyrinth. Eugene asks what they get for defeating the labyrinth boss, and Gillard smirks. He will allow them to take anything they want from the main family's underground treasury. Eugene is excited now, and finds this amazing. While walking away, he thinks that it still should be easy, and his only real problem is what to choose from the main family treasury. That's when he spots Desira and Gargus, who seem to have been waiting for him. Gargus asks if he really won against Kyan, and Eugene confirms this. And also, if they are done questioning him on useless stuff, he will be leaving. Gargus tries to stop him, but he just shrugs, not knowing what to say. Eugene makes his way to the training grounds and continues to practice, but he gets interrupted by Desira and Gargus, who are waiting for him to finish, with Desira holding spears in each of her hands. Eugene wonders why they haven't just gone to sleep yet, and that's when Gargus walks in front and, after a short second, rips out his shirt. He begins breathing heavily and pumps all of his muscles, making them glisten. Eugene wonders what just happened, and Gargus notes that he can touch it, but Eugene rejects this instantly. Gargus notes that his family has a secret muscle growth potion that accelerates muscle growth depending on training, while not accumulating mana within the body. And naturally, there aren't many side effects to this. Is he perhaps interested? Eugene asks if he's here to sell him the potion, and Desira says that there is one major side effect. If he were to consume it, he would start growing a beard, regardless of gender. She notes that she heard that he used a spear in his battle with Kyan, so why is he using a sword now? Eugene notes that he uses both swords and spears, making Desira think that he's just saying that he's good with most weapons. She throws him a spear, which he catches, and she says that her specialty is the spear, so they should fight. Eugene thinks that it would be easier to deal with her than that potion salesman, and he's also quite interested in how strong the high-ranking kids of the branch families really are, so he accepts the duel. They get into position, and Eugene asks what Gargus is still doing here. He notes that he's the referee, as even though this is just a simple spar, it still must be fair. Eugene thinks that he's acting the same way as Moron. Is he not secretly a descendant of that meathead? He notes that they will begin when he says start, and Desira urges him to do it already. She thinks about Eugene, and notes that his ability to use both swords and spears must be a bad joke. She will be the one to show him that the spear can't be mastered that easily. Gargus gives them the go-ahead, and she rushes in, thinking that the one who strikes first wins. But she suddenly stops, as Eugene is emanating a dangerous aura, and it's clear that he has no openings. He asks why she stops so suddenly, and this ticks her off, making her charge in once again. She strikes, but Eugene counters her attack. They continue to do this, and he thinks that considering the lack of mana in her body, she's actually pretty good, and she's still quite young, so the possibilities are infinite. But in her current state, she's no match for the likes of him. He continues to block and notes that she didn't hit him even once. She demands he shut up and thinks that if he thinks that he can block all of her attacks without dodging, it will cost him dearly. She charges in again, and they continue trading blows until she dashes behind him and prepares a mighty strike, thinking that he will not be able to block this one. Eugene raises his foot and catches the spear with it, making Desira desperately try to reclaim it. But it's already over, and this duel has already ended. Eugene Lionheart has won. Later that night, Gargus wakes Eugene up by noting that they should work together. Eugene wonders where he lives to wake a person up like that, and Gargus says that he just wanted to hear his response. Eugene notes that he heard the details of the ritual earlier, right? They are all coming from different entrances, so how are they supposed to do that in the first place? Gargus notes that they will end up at the same place, the center of the labyrinth where the boss monster sits. The twins from the main family will also most likely work together. Eugene asks if what he's suggesting is that they defeat the boss monster together, and he confirms this. Eugene says that he can probably do it by himself anyway,